Hello, world. It's me, Dennis Tardan.
And I'm John Wright.
And as you can see, we are both two old white guys.
Dennis and I grew up in the same rural ranching community in South Texas. But over the last 50 years, our paths and our worldviews have diverged.
I adopted and have followed a liberal and progressive ideology.
And I adopted and followed a conservative and libertarian ideology. We are here to talk and to listen to one another and see where we might find common ground.
Or at least agree to disagree without being disagreeable. This is Two Old White Guys. Hello, world. It's me, Dennis. John Wright. It's May Day 2022. Happy May Day.
Yes, it is. And I am dressed appropriately because, I thought you might enjoy me wearing a communist red shirt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, both of us are capitalists. And you have gotten me to begin reading the woke capitalism book. So I will be digging deep into that. So I hope people will be able to line up and to figure out what that is. But the first thing that I want to talk with you about is it dovetails back to our last episode. You said that you agreed that the election, that Joe Biden is the duly elected president of the United States. Correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. The latest poll that I have seen is that out of the 74 million million people that voted for Donald Trump, approximately 53% of them do not believe that he is elected president.
Well, it's interesting you should bring that up. I First off, Joe Biden is the president.
Yes,
He was accepted. The Electoral College was accepted.
exactly.
So Joe Biden is duly elected as president. That's the
Exactly.
first thing. There is a virtual terminal DVD or release by a director named De Souza, who, and I forget the name. I wish I could remember the name. It's going to be released May the 2nd
Yes.
through the 4th, about the election, and his argument is a documentary
Yes.
that the election, there was a great deal of election fraud.
Enough that would make a difference in order to do that, because you and I agreed last time that according to the evidence that we have and the evidence that has come forward, that Joe Biden is the duly elected president of the United States in a fair election, that there was not enough fraud, whatever that number might be, in order to change the election.
Well, you're not going to be able to change the election.
Not asking you that, John. What I'm asking you is that there are 53% of Republicans, according to the latest poll that I can have, of Republicans who say that this country is being governed by someone who is illegitimate.
Well, that's a non sequitur because he is legitimate.
I'm
Now,
sorry,
they're
they
saying,
believe it. I'm talking about the people who voted for Trump, and I assume you voted for Trump. Of the people that voted for Trump, 53% of the Republicans who voted for Trump, and not everybody, you're an independent, so you didn't vote as a Republican, but 53% of the Republicans believe, according to this poll, that we are under an illegitimate regime, under a president who is not duly elected. That's what they're saying.
and
That
if they
doesn't
can
bother
prove it,
you? And
huh?
doesn't that bother you?
Oh, I tell you what bothers me is what's going on now. This
Hold on a
election.
second. Hold on a second. We are not living, if that is true, these people. All right, and I did a little math. That would be about, I don't know, 35 million people And then if you take 53% of that, that is about, I mean, you take 53% of 74 million, and that's about 37 million. That's 37 million people in this country who believe we are under a regime that is not, that did not be around, that was not arrived at fairly. That this that the true president of the United States should be, by law, by fairness, by votes, Donald Trump.
Okay.
Does that bother you? 37 million people in our country believe that this election was fraudulent.
That is one of the dangers, that when the people lose conviction
Yes.
that the elections are fair,
Right.
then you have the stage set for either turning the government off or
Right.
I mean, there are other means.
Do you feel that, I mean, did it bother you at all in the run up to the election when Donald Trump kept claiming over and over again that the only way he could lose the election, that if it was stolen, that was the only way? He said it over and over again. No presidential candidate has ever said that before. Certainly no president who is in office who said before then that the only way he could lose if there was fraud. So he was ceding that. What do you think that did to the democracy? Because you and I have talked about Nixon and Kennedy, and there was plenty of ballots shenanigans that was concerned about in Illinois, and you and I talked about which went for Kennedy. There was also shenanigans in Texas that went in South Texas that we could have. But did Nixon stand up and say? Did he stand up and say no? Even though there was evidence of fraud, did he?
I do not recall any specific instance
where
he made a public
he
pronouncement.
He made a public pronouncement, conceded and congratulated. That's what he did. When Al Gore, who had a very good case, even though the Supreme Court was 5-4 in that, for just a few hundred votes to whether or not would be the president, did he concede to George W. Bush?
Yeah, after the Supreme Court judged in Bush's favor.
Exactly. And then he conceded. He didn't continue to fight or to say that it was an illegitimate election or whatever. So he conceded. I am deeply concerned that this former president has ceded the destruction of our democracy by his callous use of the fraud theory, that he's sown this. I mean, imagine, John, 37 million people. If you take 1% of that, that's 3 million people. I mean, 350,000 people. And then if you take 1/100th of 1%, that's 1/100th of 1%, you come up with 33,750 people. That's 1/100th of 1% who would be angry enough or upset enough to be able to say, this country was stolen from us. It has actually been stolen. And I cannot get past Donald Trump doing that. I don't know what's going to happen to our democracy. You don't seem upset about it. You don't seem bothered by the fact that he has sown the seeds of our democracy, of the disillusion and the in what of free and fair elections, that he has done that. That it doesn't seem to upset you at all.
I have watched 8 years of accusations by the Democrats that Donald Trump was in collusion with Russia based on false dossier.
Yes, the Steele dossier. Exactly.
The FBI
yes,
went before the RISA court.
Yes.
And swore, even though it was a lie,
yes,
that this was true and that they should follow.
John, John, of course mistakes are made. I met an
That was not a
FBI
mistake,
agent.
Dennis.
No, I don't mean mistakes. What I meant is that there is ill intent. There is ill intent in order to be able to try to destroy, in order to be able to destroy his reputation. There certainly, I will certainly accept that that's ill intent. The same thing that Donald Trump said, we're not going to, I don't want to, God, I hate, all right, I'm going to play both sides of some of this, continuing to say that Barack Obama was an illegitimate president because his birth certificate. How do you, I mean, you're saying that he isn't even eligible to be, and Donald Trump promulgated that over and over and over, and he kept saying that they're going to find the birth certificate, they're going to find it, and that never was true. So if you can, those two things are, that's part of the, I don't think either one of those things were right, but you won't answer the question. You won't sit there and say, this man has absolutely sown the seeds of the end of our democracy, by challenging the fact to all of these people that the election was stolen, that enough fraud happened that we do not live in the United States anymore. We do not live, we are under a democratic rule who has stolen that is what he's saying. Does that not bother you? The fact that in our country, not Nicaragua, not something other, we're saying that in the same way that Putin has his, that they just took it, stole it away from the will of the people. How are you not upset with that? How does that not bother you? You seem so calm.
Let me wipe the spittle off the screen.
Oh, thank you. Here. Thank you.
That is conversation. And I think that it will be proven right or wrong in due time.
Conversation, John. This is not conversation. This is our country, the thing that you and I both said we would defend, and that we would defend our Constitution. You and I both said this, and we have a man, a former president who you and I both agree was freely elected and is elected there, who is sowing the seeds of election denial and the big lie continuing out there, that he keeps doing that. I am concerned for our democracy, John. I am concerned. I'm looking at your face and I feel like that I'm telling you that ice cream is cold or something like that. You don't care. It doesn't even bother you at all. And you're a patriot. You are a patriot for this country. And I hear you not, I don't even see, I am deeply upset about this. I don't know what the 2022 election, or whether or not people are even going to believe it, or whether or not people are going to start saying fraud in every incident. It doesn't matter whether they win or not. They're just going to keep saying fraud. And it's like we've lost a pillar of our, not the pillar of the democracy, the entire democracy. That doesn't bother you, John? I mean, can you just, good God, you're so taciturn.
The problem at hand, what is in the past is in the past, and it will catch up with one or the other.
Bullshit. Don, that is happening now. That is happening now.
Yes, it
continues to
the ministry, or what is it? The Ministry of Truth.
Yes.
Or as they say, the Misinformation Governance Board.
Yes.
A part of DHS. That's called censorship.
Oh, I understand that. I'm only
the government is censoring free speech. On top of that, DHS with Mayorkas.
You're deflecting. Let's talk. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about censorship because I think this is a really important topic for us to do. I'm only asking about this one issue. This one issue. We have a former president of the United States who says that he was cheated out of the election. Look at your passivity. He got 74 million plus votes.
Mhm.
74 million people voted for him, and he says that it was a fraudulent election. That doesn't bother you?
No,
So if Hillary Clinton had come out and said that she was completely cheated out of the election, that there was cheating and vote fraud, and that wouldn't bother you. You wouldn't think that truly would have damaged our democracy.
no.
John, I am shocked. I think that is either disingenuous. I would hope it wasn't disingenuous, but I am stunned. I really thought you had more of a sense. This is, I mean, I am concerned for our country, and you don't seem to even have any. You're totally placid about it.
No, I'm
How
not.
is that?
No, I'm not. You're arguing about something that has happened that is in the past.
No, it's in the present. He says this every single time he goes out to his rallies. He says it is not in the past. It is in the present. There are election rules of there are new election tightening of rules and all that are happening all around the country because of this. There are a number of people who are running right now on the platform that the election was stolen. Up and down, Secretary of State, up and down to the smaller county, that this election was stolen. How can you possibly say that this isn't important, that this isn't happening in the present right now? How can you say that, John?
Because what is going on now is the greater danger.
In a stolen election, John?
Yes.
Greater
censorship
danger
is taking our right to say what we think when we think it. You have the Ministry of Truth, as I said. You have now, and this is in Round Rock, Texas. You should know about that.
Right close to here. It's right over there.
Right. They have the school board there has a police force. That police force was sent out to arrest two people that had questioned the school board about some of their procedures, policies, and problems that they were having. They were sent out, the police were sent out to arrest them, took them to jail, and they spent the night in jail. John, that's called a stormtrooper, Dennis.
Where did you hear this story? All right, now, first of all, we're going to talk directly about that. What is your sense of the book, the policies that Greg Abbott is saying about the censorship of books? Since we're not going to talk politics, and I'm not going to talk the election, and you and I are on really different sides as to what we think is going on, because I am very concerned that we are going into an autocracy, into an authoritarianness, that we're destroying faith in our elections, and that we've done this to the populace, and it was done on purpose, and it was done by Donald Trump. Okay, assuming that we're going to put that aside, how the goodness could we do that? But we will. But in talking about this, the censorship issue, let's just talk about specifically about that. What is your sense about the Greg Abbott and saying that we have to remove these books? Is your sense? What is your sense about that?
Well, at the convention, when there was a plank that was recommended to remove certain books from the school libraries and the public libraries, I stood up and said, there is an authority for parents to discuss what is and is not going to be in a school library, but you cannot dictate what a public library, a repository of knowledge, has.
And what was the response?
Oh, we have a very strong religious component that still voted in spite of a very passionate description, and even went to saying what the first suggestive picture of a woman that I saw was Botticelli's Birth of Venus.
Right.
And
John, when I was a young adolescent, I was I was all over the art books. God bless the heart, and I hope the pages didn't
And
stick
not even
together too
National
bad.
Geographic?
Oh, of course, National Geographic. I mean, that was. Are you kidding me? That was that was my whole thing. Oh, and dear God, a medical textbook that I happened to find that had a. Oh my God! I mean, this was, of course, both of us in our 70s, 74. So that would have been, oh, like 1954, like 10 or 11, 1955. I mean, that was. I got a whole routine on that, but we'll talk about. But all right, so you're seeing this censorship both on the left and the right, right?
Absolutely.
You're seeing this is coming out. So how do we get through this? How do we break through so that I can say, I mean, I can promise you this, whatever there is this ministry of truth, and however it is this alleged Round Rock police force that went out, and which you're going to have to give me the link on that so that I can do my own research on that, and we can find out what is exactly going on and what actually happened there. So I want to know. But getting to that, we have to make sure that there is free and fair information. And the parents, the thing is that if a parent can go to a school board and say, or go to each particular class and say, you cannot teach my student that worries me.
It's no worse than Joe Biden saying, when the child is in school, he belongs to you.
Right. But I can philosophically debate that. I can philosophically debate that when the people get onto an airplane and the door closes, they belong to those pilots. Those pilots are responsible. They are responsible for the health and welfare and safety of those passengers until they land the airplane, the door opens, and they disembark. I can put an argument that is in their charge, that is what he was saying when he was there. While they are under your charge, they belong to you. So act like it. Be careful with them. Make sure that they're safe. Make sure that they are learning, that they're being the best. So that is what I'm talking about. And in business, because I'm still in business, John, that's ownership. That is what people are talking about when they talk about ownership. Do you own the project? Do you own this? Do you own the patient that walks into Dr. Wright's office and come in? Do you own that person's health?
I am responsible for giving the best care that I can.
Thank you. Same thing for the teacher.
I do not own that person.
No, you own your behavior. You own that. But I'm talking about that as a rhetorical, that's just a rhetorical example, John. It's not a question of they've transferred the legal rights to them. That's not what he was saying. Good God. Joe Biden has pretty loose lips. There is you have gaffe after gaffe after gaffe after gaffe that we could go into of what Joe Biden said. So there's no question about that. But you look at the intent of what he was saying, and it's not ownership as in slavery.
Is it?
It's not. I know. It is not under any interpretation of that.
What did he imply? You're saying that he implied that they were in your charge.
That they had the responsibility to take care of them during the time that they're there. That they own that experience. They own the experience that the children have, so that they must behave, be safe with them. They make sure that the children are as safe as possible, that they learn as much as they possibly can, that they have the most enriched experience that they can possibly have. That was what he meant.
So that is what you infer from his implication.
What else could he have meant, John?
He could have meant that the rights of the parents stop when the school bell rings, that the teachers have the right to teach what they want and when they want, and object to any contrary actions. I mean, right now, there's even an argument that since and I don't accept liberal, it's the woke progressive, but their beliefs about teaching are in effect a religion. And under those consequences, then there is a right to decline that and not be punished for it.
John, let me ask you something, because this is what I want to get into, and because I think this is where you and I have to go. There is on the right a John Birch style. For those of you millennials, you won't know who that is, but there is a John Birch super conservatism that is there. And on the left, there is a super liberal. What you have,
Communist.
Yeah, okay. Let's say super liberal, communist, socialistic element that is super socialistic. Super socialistic. That's her ideological.
Oh, that's what the song that the minister of propaganda was singing.
It is. That's
yes.
Right. You'll have to do that with me. Being a musical comedy, musical comedy actor, you can do that much better than I, but you can teach me. Okay, so anyway, so we have on the left, I mean, we have on the right, we have these very, very deeply conservative, I mean, so absolutely conservative. And on the left, we have these super liberals. The people I want us most to talk to are the middle 80%. The middle 80%. And that's where I think we go wrong, is that when I attribute everything that is coming on the right to only those people on the super right, and you, I believe, are attributing these woke, these particular woke things to a very small percentage. So if we could just talk about that middle 80%, that middle part, because that's not what I believe. I do not believe the Democrats I know are so capitalistic. They do not, I'm talking about, we go to the Pflugerville Democratic Club here, and it has a broad range of people out there. Can't find a communist, can't find a socialist in there. Might be some, but to me, they're capitalists. Yeah, they believe that there should be some fetters on capitalism, that as you are, and you would certainly agree to that. But I just don't see that. I don't see this fringe mind control, lefty communist that you're seeing. I don't see that in my experience.
I don't see the communists as they are the extreme. The people that are in Washington are in Washington for power, and they like holding on to power.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So now, all right, let's talk about it in that way. Let's wrap up today. Is there anything that you want to say today before we go off the air, other than the close? I'm going to want you to close us, of course. But is there anything that is on your mind or heart that you feel like on the 1st of May, 2022, you'd like to say?
I have never been more concerned for the state of our union than with the types of activities that I have witnessed over the last month. You have, just listen.
No. Because I so agree with you.
The DHS has 240,000 people. It has been buying weapons and ammunition by the millions. It is the second largest military force, second only to our own military. Mallorca, in my estimation, is the Ernst Röhm of America. Ernst Röhm was a brown shirt that brought Hitler to power using violence. Hitler finally killed him because he thought the SS was more orthodox group.
Okay, stop right there, please. That is the greatest teaser for our next Two Old White Guys. Could we start there Could you tell me the story here? Because both of us, where we have gotten, this is where I think this is the wonderful, and I say wonderful in the most horrible sense, but the fact that you and I have come to a place, I have now come to believe in a thing that I did not think you believed in. I did not think you believed that our country was in the deepest peril that it has been since Fort Sumter. I didn't believe that. You seem so calm about it. You seem so relaxed, but at least I know that you and I both agree. We've come to a meeting of the minds that both of us agree that our country is under great peril.
Our country is imperiled. We may disagree on which is imperiling the most.
Right. But
I
we
think
can agree, that a country believing in that certainly, let's say 80% of the people believe in that we have free and fair elections. You can have 10% on either side, but at least you would say that would be a reasonable thing for a democracy to believe, correct?
You would want people, all people that can accept it, to believe that our elections are fair, that everyone had a vote. One person, one vote.
Exactly, and that's where we're going to talk about that and all the other threats through censorship, through oligarchy, through bureaucracies, through that, and we're going to talk about them on Two Old White Guys because we've been there during the building of this, and we need to do it. So, John, why don't you sign off for us? And
one more word: 2,000 Mules de Souza. That's the documentary coming up.
Good.
That's all the time we have for now. So until next time, remember, you can't learn if you won't listen.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the opportunity. And we'll see everybody next time on Two Old White Guys.
Yeah.